Welcome back to What's Now. Turning to your health, unfortunately, hepatitis A is on the rise recently, and I spoke with a physician and a patient who contracted hepatitis A from a restaurant. Here's more information.
There's been a dramatic jump in hepatitis A cases in the U.S. since 2016, and currently 24 states are seeing active outbreaks. Hepatitis A is a highly infectious virus that attacks the liver and can spread person to person or through contaminated food or drink. October is Liver Awareness Month and a great time to think about steps you can take to protect your health. Here with information are Dr. Leah Smith, Pharmacist and Vaccine Educator at GSK, and patient Stan, who likely contracted hepatitis at a restaurant. Thank you so much, both of you, for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Dr. Smith, let's start with you. What is hepatitis A and what should we know about the current outbreak?
Sure. Well, hepatitis A, as you indicated, is a very contagious viral infection that impacts the liver. It can lead to sickness, hospitalization in over 60% of the cases, and in rare situations, it can lead to death. It's mostly a short-term illness, but in some scenarios, it can lead to serious complications, which we'll hear about from Stan. Some people don't even have symptoms when they get hepatitis A. But for those who do, they could be flu-like. But there's a telltale sign that is yellowing of the skin and the eyes. Sometimes that's accompanied by darkly colored urine. And so right now, there are 24 states, as you indicated, that are actively experiencing a hepatitis A outbreak. And since 2016, over 42,000 cases have been reported nationwide. So I'm really excited that you're sharing this news with your audience, especially during Liver Awareness Month.
And doctor, who can get hepatitis A?
All right, so really anyone can be at risk of contracting hepatitis A. And the reason for that is the way that it's spread. So it can be spread from person to person, or it can even be spread through contaminated food and drink. So, I like to eat out. We all do. But there is a risk that at some point during the food supply or food preparation stages, someone contaminated the food. And so that's how it's transmitted that way. There are certain high-risk groups for hepatitis A. And that would include people who use drugs, both injectable and non-injectable, people who may be experiencing homelessness, as well as men who have sex with men. But I do want to point out that in over 30% of the cases, there's no identifiable risk factor. And so for that reason, the CDC does recommend that any adult who wishes to receive the hepatitis A vaccine can get it. Simply because there's no need to have a risk factor in order to contract hepatitis A.
Stan, what can you tell us about your experience with hepatitis A?
Sure. First, I want to thank GSK for sponsoring me and helping me share my story. My whole life changed after I contracted hepatitis A. At 65 years old, I was in the best shape of my life, and I had just completed a half marathon and was enjoying retirement. But a few weeks after dining out, I began feeling sick. I had periods of nauseousness and flu-like symptoms that would come and go on a daily basis. Initially, I just ignored them, but then eventually they became so persistent that I saw my family doctor. When I went to him, he immediately sent me to the emergency room. While I was there, I learned that my liver was failing and that I was probably most likely going to have a liver transplant. Well, miraculously, I did get one within a day. So life after the transplant has been hard. It's been a challenge. It's been 4 years now. But through it all, I've kept a positive attitude and made my way back to a healthy and active lifestyle. I just wish someone would have told me about the vaccination for hepatitis A. I certainly would have got it, but I didn't know anything about it. I didn't even know that the vaccination existed. So that's why we're here today, to promote awareness, to promote your listeners to talking with their doctors and pharmacists about the vaccination, the Hep A vaccination. Unfortunately, my age group is one that is at risk right now. We weren't vaccinated. The children and young adults have been, but us people in my age group have not. So that's why we're here.
And I so appreciate you, Sam, being willing to share your story. And you mentioned that you want everyone in your age bracket to get this vaccine. Anything else that you would like to say about the vaccination in particular?
It's easy to get. It's available. If you're on the fence, just get it. You don't want to have to go through everything that I've been going through, and you want to protect yourself and your loved ones from this virus that you can pick up at any time.
And Doctor, have most people been vaccinated for hepatitis A, yet where can our audience go to learn more to find out if they have or haven't been vaccinated, actually?
Right. Well, the best way to find out if you have or haven't been vaccinated is to discuss with your healthcare provider. They should have a record of your vaccinations. But like Stan mentioned, most children and teenagers have been vaccinated against hepatitis A because since 2006, the CDC has recommended that children between the ages of 12 and 18 months receive it. However, the same can't be said for adults. Only 15% of US adults have received at least one of the two doses that are required for long-term protection. So that means that 85% haven't even received the first dose. And so now's the best time for you to talk to your healthcare provider or pharmacist, not only about hepatitis A vaccine, but about really any CDC recommended vaccine that's appropriate for your age group, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic when we really want to prevent sickness and hospitalization as much as we possibly can. And for more information, your audience can go to cdc.gov/hepatitis.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Leah Smith, for this important information about hepatitis A. And Stan, I really appreciate you taking the time to inform our audience by sharing your story. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
We have come to the end of another great episode of What's Now. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to stay tuned for more great content because if it's important to you, it's always important to us. I'm your host, Christine Napier. We'll see you next time.